Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar. We are going to be discussing the Employment Rights Act 2025 and what that looks like for businesses in terms of managing that in terms of a HR system. And we're going to walk through some of the key elements that we've identified in light of the new Act and how that sort of reflects well in Breathe. So, by ways of introduction, my name is Ewen. I'm the operations lead here at MJV Consulting. I'm responsible for all of our Breathe implementations. Bit of background on MJV. So we're a HR consultancy. We're based in Horsham in West Sussex, helping business owners navigate the Employment Rights Act 2025, stay compliant, but above all else, help them build fantastic places to work. I'm joined today by Tom. Tom Romo is our account manager at Breathe.
Yep, it's lovely to meet all of you. Thank you very much for joining today. I'm going to be taking you through Breathe and showing you how that works against employment rights. I work really closely with Ewen and the rest of the MJ Consulting team here as well.
Thank you, Tom. So the day-to-day reality for employers now, in light of all these changes, is that change is well and truly upon us. The importance of accurate data records, is increasing in importance. Rather than looking through files on your PC, OneDrive, SharePoint, dare I say it, a filing cabinet, and we've seen a couple of those recently as well. It's now the time to embrace the change and keep key information such as absence records, holiday records, company documents, all in that single location, ideally a digital location. Manual tracking, it can't really keep pace with all of these changes and how a business is expected to manage this ongoing.
So that's day-to-day compliance handled in one place. Makes everything so much easier. So doing the heavy lifting in the background so you're not having to worry about that. I'm going to start from sickness from day one. So you can log all of your absences in real time on Breathe. And that ensures that records are 100% accurate and easy to evidence should you need to. You've got holiday with a clear audit trail. So that means entitlements, bookings, and carryover are all going to be in one place. So there's every change retained for an audit should you need to prove anything. And that could go back 6-7 years on as well. Any lead type can be configured within Breathe. So you'd set that up and track it easily. So any sensitive leave can be centrally managed with consistent rules applied across every single team and member. And they've got the records and documents. So employee files, contracts, and full version history clearly logged and organized and searchable within Breathe as well. So when compliance lives in one system, it's much easier to stay in control. You've got clearer visibility, less admin, and lower risk. So I'm going to touch on them points as well. So clearer visibility, you've got better records and more confidence during audits, disputes, or even tribunal challenges. And you can demonstrate compliance, not just claim it. So it is all on the Breathe system for you. I say one of the biggest selling points of Breathe is definitely less admin. So there's less time chasing paperwork, updates, acknowledgements across team. And what that allows your team to do and your managers is to manage people, not the boring process and all the nitty-gritty admin parts. Lower risk. So that's fewer missed policy updates, fewer inconsistent processes, and fewer manual errors. You've got compliance built into every single everyday operation, so you know that your risk is handled within Breathe.
Thank you, Tom. So the plan is what we're going to cover off in the course of the next sort of 20 minutes or so. We've identified, obviously off the back of the Employment Rights Act 2025, that there are some significant changes to UK employment law. We're going to discuss 8 key areas that we've picked out and how they can be managed through Breathe in particular. The idea will provide a short introduction to what each of them mean, and then Tom, you're going to walk us through what that looks like in Breathe, which we're looking forward to. It's really important just to mention at this point that the information sort of shared and provided as part of today's discussion on the webinar is for guidance only, and it shouldn't be considered as legal advice. So, Tom, I think without further ado, we should get into it.
Absolutely. Let's crack on.
So, point number one we're going to look at is SSP from the first day of sickness is now payable. So rather than the 3-day waiting period and the lower earnings limits, they've all been removed now. It now means that it's crucial to have recorded visibility and accurate records from day one. The risk is with the potential penalties if those records, they can't evidence compliance, and it's going to be a recurring theme as we go through each of the points. And but yeah, Tom, would you like to just walk us through what that looks
Absolutely.
like in Breathe?
Absolutely. So I'm showing you here my demo account. Everyone can see this okay? You can see this all okay? Perfect. So I'm showing you my demo account. None of the information here, I just wanted to let you know from the get-go, none of the information in this account is real. It's all just pretend. I've actually based this on the football team that I support, so you'll see some of the players in here. But what I'm showing you here is the sickness records on someone's profile. So what you can see is all of the total sickness that this individual's had over the past 12 months. I can actually go back even further if I wish. Number of absences in the last 12 months, and we also have a Bradford factor score, which is automatically calculated within Breathe. I can go into real detail as well and see the sickness records against this individual here. Again, it's going to show me the sickness type, when that sickness started and ended, and how many days that sickness is worth. If I need to attach anything, such as a doctor's note or anything else, I can also attach that against the person's sickness. Really easy to add sickness on here. You just click on the blue plus button. You put the start date and the end date of the sickness in. You'd select the sickness type and any employee notes that you want to add to that as well. What that's going to do, that's going to notify the line manager of this individual of their sickness. It's down to them to go in and approve or raise any questions against the sickness. This is fantastic if there is any audits or anything like that, you need to prove compliance, you can go back in and evidence that. Back over to you, Ewan.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tom. Right. So the second point we're going to look at today is holiday records and the new six-year rule for keeping those data. So as an employer, it is important now that you must keep adequate records related to annual leave, holiday pay calculations, and keeping that information for up to 6 years, as we said. The manual spreadsheets are, they're not the answer here. The formula that was maybe created back in, 2020, someone keeping tabs of that, maybe someone who created it is no longer in the business. It becomes much easier much more difficult to manage it through the spreadsheet. But by using Breathe, the process becomes far simpler, far more straightforward. If it's not kind of dealt with, if it's from a system perspective and there's systems handling some of that heavy lifting for you and your team, it does leave an element of risk if you were ever expected by the Fair Work Agency, and we'll talk about the Fair Work Agency in the next point. But Tom, would you like to just show us what that looks like in Breathe?
Absolutely. So annual leave, slightly nicer, obviously, than sickness. So I'm again on this 10 employees profile here. I can see a breakdown of their allowance, any adjustments that have been made, what's been booked or taken, and remaining holiday available to them. So I can evidence this if anything happens, when as you mentioned, Fair Working Agency, I can evidence this employee's holiday here, and I can go back 6 years if I wanted to prove anything should something come up in the future. It's really easy for the employee to book annual leave. Obviously, as you can see here, we've got 9 days available. They'd hit the blue plus button. They'd enter the dates of leave that they wish to take, any notes they want to add on there, and then they click on add leave, and that's going to notify the manager of this individual that they want to take annual leave. Manager goes in and accepts that, and then you'll see now we've got 8 days of annual leave remaining. So it definitely gives the employee that autonomy over their annual leave. You're not having to worry about spreadsheets and filing cabinets and someone saying, what annual leave have I got remaining? I know I've had that in previous organizations before. This just takes so much time. This gives you so much time back. And it also ensures that you're compliant as well. So back over to you, Ewan.
Thanks, Tom. Right. So point number 3, as I just mentioned, is the Fair Work Agency. So this obviously is very new. It exists to oversee a number of possible areas, which includes minimum wage, overall record keeping, and again that is a recurring theme throughout this. They'll have the power to inspect and potentially issue financial penalties in specific situations, of course. The importance now for business owners is to ensure that they can prove that what they're doing is expected of them in terms of the record keeping and all of the elements attached to that, and potentially being able to produce that required information on demand. That is going to come into effect and can make all the difference if the business is ever challenged by the Fair Work Agency. So again, Tom, back to you for what that looks like in brief.
Thanks very much, Ewan. So what I'm going to do is head over to the documents section of the account on here, company documents. So here I've got a complete trail of all documents that I've uploaded onto Breathe. And you can see, obviously, these are all test documents, but they range from parental leave, laptop use, handbook policy, and health and safety handbook. But what I want to do in this instance, I want to add a document, a specific document that I want every single person in the organization to review and read. So I'm going to go in and upload that here. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. I can select what audience I want that to go to. So it could be a specific department, but in this instance, I want this to go to all people. I want them to read and say, yes, they have read this and they've acknowledged it. So I'm going to set them a read by date. And then I'm also going to set a review date in the future. And now I can click on add document. That's going to tell everyone in the organization they've got a document that they must go in and physically tick and say, yes, I've read. Should anything happen in the future and I need to prove something, if there was an audit, I need to prove that I'm sending these documents, these company documents out to my employees and they have read it, I can easily evidence that here. And again, as Ewan said, this is probably an area that this is definitely an area, that we will be going back into as well. So I'll be providing a bit more information as we go forward on this. Thanks, Ewan.
It's really easy, isn't it, to add those documents?
It's so simple, and yeah, it completely takes away from having that massive filing cabinet or spreadsheet, or you just got it all in one place, and it's easy to pull out if you need to prove anything.
Fantastic. So point number 4 is day 1 paternity and parental leave. In both cases, paternity leave and unpaid parental leave are now available from day 1. Once again, the emphasis on policies is crucial here, and any referencing back to qualifying periods now makes them non-compliant, which obviously creates exposure and risk for business owners if they're not updated. There's obviously a number of different ways in which MJV could support with that, but just as a rule of thumb, this is now something that all businesses need to consider. So once again, we're back to you, Tom.
Thanks, Ewan. So we're heading back into that company documents section here. And you can see that I've uploaded a document specifically called parental leave that I need everyone in my organization to agree that they've read to, so that I can prove that I am educating my staff and that they are fully aware of any parental leave policies. What I then can do is, I'm just going to use this as an example here. I can see the number of people that this has been assigned to, and I can see the number of people that have read it. So I've assigned this to 15 people and only one person's read it. I can go into that in detail if I want on here. I can see when it was last updated. I can see that I've set a read receipt and that I've signed that to all employees. Unfortunately, only one person on here has read it, this individual down the bottom here, myself, and I've got the date that they've read that. So again, it's just it's another way of further evidencing and keeping on top of your staff and ensuring that they are as up to date as possible with any policies. Thanks, Ewan.
I mean, that's really intuitive, isn't it? Giving business owners or anyone internally with from a leadership perspective the chance to go back in and see who is adhering and following
Absolutely.
instruction on what's required. So
Absolutely.
our fifth point is around the bereaved partners leave. So this is a new right that's been brought in of up to 52 weeks for partners. Whether a child's birth mother or primary adopter dies within 52 weeks of birth or placement. This is, of course, a really sensitive, matter and entitlement, and it needs careful handling, and it means that the business needs to ensure that they've got a legally sound process, for managing this situation and making sure that, that they've provided that the framework is in place should this particular scenario ever happen. But would you mind showing us how that looks in brief, Tom?
Absolutely. So, an extremely sensitive subject, and I think that the benefit of having this all in brief is much less admin for yourself and also the individual affected in here. So it's really, really simple. You'd head to the working patterns section. You can see I've got some test populated ones in here, but you'd set. You'd call it bereavement leave, for example. You'd set the number of hours and minutes that person would be working or wouldn't be working. You'd click on add pattern and then you'd assign that to the individual. So very, very straightforward and nice and easy to do for a very, very sensitive subject. Thanks, Ewan.
Thanks, Tom. So we're on to point 6 now of the 8 we identified. So the whistleblowing side and sexual harassment. So sexual harassment is now a protected disclosure, meaning that employees are explicitly protected from detriment or dismissal. Policies can be non-compliant once again if they're not dealt with, and that failure to act on a disclosure or to protect that individual making the disclosure as well. So it carries consequences for the business. So once again, we're talking here about compliance, keeping policies up to date, keeping records up to date, communicating that from the top down within the business. So it'd be great to see what that looks like in brief, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 different areas that I'm going to show you here. First of all, we've got the company documents section. So for example, you might want to upload your sexual harassment policy to this area and assign it to every single one of your employees. You'll also be able to track the number of people, as I showed you earlier, that have read that. And you can also set a review date as well, because it's something that you're obviously going to likely want to ensure that people are refreshed on each time. You can also add signable documents to briefs. So if you want to add a document to a specific individual, it could be perhaps around sexual harassment or something very similar. You just head into the specific document section of the employee's profile. You'd click on signable documents, you'd add that document. What it's going to do, it's going to ask the employee to physically sign that. You can also have a counter signer as well. And then you've got that archived here in the signable document section. And that's going to stay on brief for as long as you're using brief. So if you ever did need to go back in the past, if something happened and you needed to evidence something, you're going to be able to jump back into the past and pull any of them documents out and clearly see that that person has signed them. Thanks, Ewan.
Thanks, Tom. Again, the e-signature tool really coming into its own there and making
Absolutely.
it really straightforward for businesses to distribute documents to the team. So the penultimate point of today's webinar is collective redundancy. So it's the protective award for failure to collectively consult employees during redundancy, which is now doubled from 90 to 180 days pay per affected employee. Once again, we're talking about process compliance and documentation and evidence that things are happening. So it's making sure that the process is documented from start to finish. This is not a conversation that happens maybe off the record, or there's anything that shouldn't be being used in this example. If it's not properly evidenced or it isn't consulted on properly, or it looks incomplete, that could ultimately prove to be a costly mistake, as are many of the points we've discussed on today's webinar. So I think if could you walk us through what this looks like in Breathe as well?
Absolutely, and as you said, Ewan, this is an extremely sensitive subject, which is why it's all the more important that there is a clear record archived on Breathe. So I'm going to head over to the performance section of Breathe now. And just show you how you could evidence that and Breathe. A very difficult conversation, redundancy conversation. So I'm scheduling it with this individual here. I'm saying it's going to be a formal sort of company one-to-one. I can select a reviewer, so that could be anyone in the organization. It could be someone from HR. It could be a line manager of this individual. And then I'm also going to select the location that this is taking place. Obviously, I can set that as recurring or not. In this instance, I'm just going to say no. I put the employee summary in here and the reviewer notes as well, and I'd click on add one-to-one. So I've got this formally open on here. I can also add any attachments and documents to this as well. So, if anything did happen in the future and I needed to prove something or go back into it, it's always going to be here on the one-to-one section. And equally, if there is anything that I need an employee to sign, I can go to the signable documents and request that they do sign. Again, that's going to be kept down here to archive should you need to prove anything going forward. Thanks, Ewen.
What's becoming really clear, Tom, through Breathe is the simplicity and ease of use and how to navigate this. It's the complexity's been removed there, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's it. I'd say that's one of the biggest pluses of Breathe. It's the simplicity. Obviously, you're putting that massive green tick in the compliance box, which we see now is absolutely vital. But yes, it's just the simplicity and ease of use, and it's not just for you, as a business owner and a line manager. It's also a huge benefit to the employee as well.
Absolutely. So our final point 8 of the 8 we identified. So it's all linked to minimum wage increases. The figures are available on the screen. It's broken down into the thresholds for all introduced from April 2026, and you've got the 16 to 17-year-olds and the apprentices. That's increased. 18 to 20-year-olds, their allowances change as well, and the same for anyone aged 21 and above. That's all been changed. And I think it's the underpayment now that falls within the Fair Work Agency remit. Any of those errors that potentially that could lead to further action if it's not been implemented correctly. I appreciate we've identified eight examples, and there are obviously more to come as well as sort of the next year to 18 months. But it's keeping on top of this. It's working closely with someone who's experienced in this, making sure that the business is not going to fall foul of any potential checks should the Fair Work Agency get involved. So I guess for the last time on the webinar, Tom, over to you to what this looks like in Breathe.
Thanks very much, Ewan. So you can store all of your employees' pay details within Breathe, and as you just mentioned, Ewan, it's more important than ever that there is a record of this in Breathe. Again, should you need to prove anything at all, so I can see this employee's pay here, and I can set that to an hourly rate. I can set that to an annual rate as well. I can also attach any documents to that here. So, that could be a contract or, a change of pay. Perhaps someone's had a pay rise. I can set that here as an attachment as further evidence of that as well. So you can also select a pay grade. So you may work in pay grades. And again, like I said, if you did make that adjustment to the person's pay, you've got the reason for change here. So really, really, really nice, clear, straightforward audit trail should you need to evidence that. I can add someone's bank details as well. So again, it's all secure within Breathe. This is something that is only going to be visible to the employee themselves and the person responsible. So other people aren't going to be able to jump in and see these their colleagues' pay and what benefits they might be on bank details. Before I do sign off, I did want to just show you the reporting section. So everything we've discussed today can be reported in Breathe. For example, I want to see sickness reports. I want to see a sickness overview of my year. I can simply just click on click on the reporting section, go to sickness, and I've got a clear breakdown of all sickness, the type of sickness, the dates, how many days have been taken off sick, and what individual that relates to here. Nice and straightforward. I can also export this as well onto Excel should I need to. And again, as Ewan's mentioned, as I've mentioned, we can go back as well. So we can go back 6 years, we can go back 7 years as well, if we wanted to, if we need to evidence anything there. So I'll pass it back to you as a final time. Thanks, Ewan.
Thanks very much, Tom. Yeah, fantastic to see what Breathe can do to support businesses of all sizes. Manage, I guess, the complexity and maybe challenges that crop up. So some of you may be watching this wondering, okay, how do we go about doing this? We've never tracked it on a spreadsheet. I hope that's not the case. If you have been using a spreadsheet, maybe you've realized now is the time to kind of move on and I guess streamline and get the business ready for the next stage. This is where we as MJV Consulting come into it. We provide an implementation service to support businesses, again, of all shapes and sizes. The important thing with any HR system implementation is the information that is entered into it from the very beginning. Getting that data input and data entry correct sets the foundation for what happens next. So we'll sit with you, we'll work with you, understand the requirements, understand what data you have got, if it's located in different areas. We'll bring all that together. We'll walk through the implementation. We manage that side of it. Bit by bit, the team will then start to be able to book leave through Breathe, whether that's on the desktop or on the mobile application. It's really, really easy to use, as you've seen what Tom has demonstrated so far. Company documents, everything can start to be added to the system. It's all brought together to that single point that we mentioned earlier in the call. And really, we always encourage everyone to move at their own pace. We appreciate that this can actually be a big change for some businesses, and making sure that that's handled correctly as well. So the message from us and from Tom as well is that this is not to be overwhelmed by this particular change. It's to almost embrace it. Yeah. And it's just that evolutionary part of record keeping, HR management, people management, and moving away from, I guess, outdated, manual processes. Like a lot of things in 2026, there can be a more efficient way of doing things. There's now added sort of legal complexities to some of this. So if you are thinking about those next steps, again, not sure about what to do, we offer any sort of new or potential company interested in talking to us. There's a 30-minute call there that's available for at no charge. If you'd like to see Breathe in a bit more detail beyond what Tom has shown us today, again, we can walk through that in a more kind of bespoke demo scenario. If maybe you have specific situations or challenges you'd like to approach and speak to us about, again, we can accommodate that and go through that. And as we just touched on, we'll take you from nothing or spreadsheet to a fully rolled out system with training and support alongside that. Just to reiterate, everything that we've shared today is all for guidance only. It should not be considered legal advice. And again, if you'd like to reach out to MJV, I'll leave you with our contact details at the very end. You've got the opportunity to contact us however you wish. And but if you go to our website, there's an opportunity there to book in for a call to go through at a time that suits you. And if you would like a demo of Breathe, just let us know in that booking link, and we'll be happy to take you through all of that. But before I wrap up, Tom, thank you very much for joining me today. Really appreciate your help and support. And fantastic to see what Breathe is doing and continues to do. And I think it's really important to add that Breathe listens to us as partners and listens to its customers as well, and takes on board that feedback for development. And the roadmap ahead as well is also exciting. So again, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for tuning in. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.